Into our afternoon edition of Arirang News. I'm Kwon Jang-ho, and it's good to have you with us. The location of the North Korea-U.S. summit has been announced. The landmark meeting between Kim Jong-un and President Trump will be at the exclusive Capella Hotel on the resort island of Sentosa in Singapore. It seems the final logistical details are falling into place, but the agenda of the discussions still remains largely a mystery. Could it be a sign that a deal is still a long way off, especially as there are also rumours that the White House has started to make plans for a second North Korea-U.S. summit at Mar-a-Lago in Florida, suggesting issues will not be resolved in one meeting, as Trump previously suggested. We'll explore those thoughts with an expert in the studio later. Before that, we'll go to our news centre, where we'll catch up with the latest stories at this hour with Devin Whiting. Devin?
Hi, Jung-ho. As you alluded to, preparatory talks continue at the inter-Korean border between officials from North Korea and a team from the U.S. They're working on the summit's agenda, what specifically will be there on the table for Kim Jong-un and President Trump. The word is that they have still not agreed on exactly how and at what speed the North will denuclearize. Kim Yo-sun reports.
With less than a week to go until the historic summit between the leaders of North Korea and the United States, the two countries held another round of preparation talks on Wednesday. The working-level officials of the two countries met again at the inter-Korean border village of Panmunjom to discuss the agenda for the June 12th summit. The American delegation led by U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines, Sung Kim, sat down with Choi Sun-hee, North Korea's vice foreign minister, for about 5 hours to fine-tune the details, including the speed of Pyongyang's denuclearization.
The two parties still need to agree on the speed and extent of denuclearization. They've probably held 6 rounds of talks because they're both trying to avoid making any major concessions.
As Washington hinted about a lengthy disarmament process instead of an immediate one, with President Trump saying earlier there will be no signing on June 12th, but the two leaders will start a process, there's also the possibility of holding additional summits going forward. While the U.S. aims to transport North's nuclear weapons abroad as early as possible, it may not offer a complete guarantee of the regime's safety at this time, as requested by Pyongyang. Meanwhile, Kim Chang-sun, the de facto chief of staff to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, arrived in Beijing on Wednesday following his meetings with the U.S. delegation in Singapore to discuss logistics ahead of the summit. Sources in Beijing say Kim Chang-sun will soon make his way to Pyongyang to report the outcome of the meetings to Kim Jong-un. Seeing that Kim Chang-sun left Singapore following a series of talks with White House Deputy Chief of Staff Joe Hagan, sources also say general preparations for the summit may have come to an end. Kim Yo-sun, Arirang News.
We'll say something which will...
Meanwhile, inside North Korea, the regime seems to have destroyed a missile test stand in line with Kim Jong-un's promise to suspend missile testing. On the basis of satellite imagery, U.S.-based North Korea monitoring website 38 North says the demolition of the facility near the northwestern city of Kusang appears to have started in the second week of May and was almost complete a week later. The stand was the regime's only known facility for land-based canister-launched ballistic missile ejection tests, deemed critical to developing a medium-range solid-fuel ballistic missile. Solid-fuel missiles can be fired at shorter notice and more discreetly than those powered by liquid fuel. A report from Bloomberg says President Trump might already be thinking of a second summit with Kim Jong-un, and this one possibly at a surprising venue. And we also have the names of the U.S. officials who will be accompanying Mr. Trump to Singapore. Iji-wan has more.
U.S. President Donald Trump has been hinting that the June 12th summit in Singapore could be the first of many meetings to come. That sentiment was echoed on Wednesday by presidential counselor Kellyanne Conway, who told reporters that there could be more than one meeting and more than one conversation. Bloomberg is also reporting on the possibility of a second summit. Citing a U.S. official, Bloomberg reports that Trump is toying with the idea of offering Kim a follow-up summit at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida. It's said the second summit could even happen in the fall, depending on how the two leaders hit it off at their meeting in Singapore. President Trump had invited other global counterparts to his Mar-a-Lago resort, including Chinese President Xi Jinping and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe for a retreat-like summit. Meanwhile, Bloomberg also reported on the list of U.S. officials who will be joining President Trump on Air Force One to Singapore. The list includes Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, White House Chief of Staff John Kelly, and even National Security Advisor John Bolton. Bolton, the administration's main hardliner on Pyongyang, was the main reason for North Korea's hostility and harsh rhetoric a few weeks ago, even prompting the regime to question whether to hold the summit. Bloomberg said the delegation also tentatively includes the head of CIA's Korea Mission Center Andrew Kim, National Security Council official Allison Hooker, and White House Deputy Chief of Staff Joe Hagan. Hooker and Hagan were part of the two teams that have been negotiating with the North at the inter-Korean border village of Panmunjom and in Singapore for the past few days. Bolton's inclusion comes as officials at the State Department believe he controversially suggested North Korea's denuclearization should follow the Libya model to disrupt talks with the regime. Citing multiple sources, CNN reports that Bolton intentionally angered the North to, quote, blow up the summit because he feared the meeting would not end up working in Washington's favor. Those remarks reportedly led to considerable tension between Bolton and Pompeo. However, the National Security Council denies there was any confrontation between the two officials at the heart of Trump's inner circle. 이지원, Arirang News.
And with the Singapore summit just around the corner, the host city-state's foreign minister is to make an official visit to North Korea for 2 days, starting Thursday. Singapore's foreign ministry says Vivian Balakrishna's visit is at the invitation of his North Korean counterpart, Lee Yong-ho. Their talks will largely center on preparations for the historic summit. In other news, South Korea will be holding local elections on June 13th. Voters will be electing new provincial governors, mayors, and local councilors. And with campaigning well underway, just 6 days to go, the latest poll shows the current ruling party with a commanding lead. Kim Min-ji reports.
In the final opinion polls allowed to be released ahead of the local elections, the ruling Democratic Party of Korea appears on track to sweep a victory. Out of 17 metropolitan cities or provinces, the ruling party is in the lead in 14 regions, including Seoul and even traditional conservative strongholds such as Ulsan and Busan. It's a big setback for the main opposition Liberty Korea party, which initially aimed to win at least 6 areas, but only is in the lead in Gyeongsangbuk-do province, while the southeastern city of Daegu falls within the margin of error. Jeju is led by an independent. With new opinion polls banned from being released from Thursday, these are the final statistics voters will be able to see before Election Day. But with less than a week left, it's unclear whether there will be a big enough issue to turn the tables. Support for the ruling party mainly comes on the back of the Moon Jae-in administration's high approval rating, buoyed by the positive developments with North Korea.
The Inter-Korean Summit and the North Korea-U.S. Summit have had a big impact on the local elections. And as we can see, the positive developments have been reflected in the polls. On top of that, the opposition bloc hasn't been able to bring up an issue to outweigh that attention. What's different in this election is that voters want to show their support for the government rather than necessarily choosing the best candidate.
Initially, it was believed that the Me Too movement or the opinion rigging scandal involving ruling party members could erode their approval rating. And now, with prospects gone for a possible merging of candidates, the remaining variables are voter turnout and swing voters. A glint of hope for the main opposition is the bloc of voters referred to as shy conservatives, those that don't tell posters that they support the main opposition Liberty Korea party.
There are bound to be people like this, as we saw in the presidential election last year. But the problem for the main opposition party is that it's positioned itself badly. They're supposed to be an alternative to the ruling party, but they haven't really been able to cut their ties to the impeachment of a former president, and all they're doing is criticizing the government. If they'd supported the positive results while criticizing where the government has come up short, they'd stand a much better chance.
Some experts say should the outcome of the local elections fall in line with the last opinion poll, especially in conservative-held regions, the political dynamics in the nation could see a seismic shift.
Although it is slightly in the lead, the main opposition party faces a difficult situation even in Daegu and Gyeongsang-Bukdo province. If it loses Busan and Ulsan, it could be the end of the party as we know it.
Now it's down to the voters. Will they throw their support behind the government's peace initiative, or will they look past North Korea and assess the government's successes and failures when deciding who gets the vote? Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
I'm Devin Whiting, and those are your news headlines for this hour.
Singapore, June 12th, 9 a.m. local time at the Capella Hotel is where Kim Jong-un will meet with Donald Trump face-to-face. With those details now confirmed, the Singaporean authorities are stepping up measures to make sure that meeting goes ahead without a hitch. Lee Seung-jae has this report.
Date and time of the historic North Korea-U.S. summit, check. Venue for the summit, check. With the summit between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and U.S. President Donald Trump set to take place on June 12th at the Capella Hotel on Sentosa Island, the Singaporean government has declared the island a special event area under the Public Order Act from June 10th to the 14th. The designation means there will be restrictions on certain activities. People and vehicles that enter the special area zone will be subject to strict security measures and may be subject to spot checks, including bag and body inspections. This may include requests to produce identification details. Being an island, the waters surrounding Sentosa Island will see a boost in security. According to experts, the waters south of Sentosa are relatively open sea, so besides security forces on the ground, there may also be maritime patrols along the coastline. The latest declaration comes after the area around the Shangri-La Hotel was named a special event area for the summit, as observers speculate President Trump will stay at the five-star hotel during his time in Singapore. Meanwhile, the Capella Hotel will see an increase in security measures as well, with local businesses around the area preparing for ultra-tight security. Businesses say June is the start of the peak period for the island, which attracts some 19 million visitors annually. While some are expecting a dip in business starting Sunday, others are anticipating bigger crowds and are laying on extra staff. In addition, tour operators say while tours to Sentosa will continue for now, tours during the June 10th to 14th period may be put on hold. With the summit now 5 days away, security is the top priority for the Singaporean government as it prepares for one of the most anticipated summits in modern history. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Now, joining us in the studio to talk us through these latest developments is Professor Shin Sang-yup from Kyung University. Professor Shin, thank you for joining us today.
We're glad to be here today.
Now, the location of the summit has been confirmed as the Capella Hotel in Sentosa Island. Now, that announcement came as quite a bit of a shock because many had expected the Shangri-La to be chosen as the summit venue. What do we know about Capella and the Sentosa Island, and why has it been chosen, do you think?
Well, there are two main reasons. The first one is the security reasons. Well, as you know very well, the Capella Hotel is on the Sentosa Island, and then also this hotel is on a higher ground. So these two reasons, I think, they made the security forces to protect the VIPs, I mean the President of the United States, Mr. Trump, and then North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, and delegations from two countries. So they could secure and protect them very efficiently. This can be the first and the most important reason why they selected the Capella Hotel as the place for the summit meeting between the United States and the North Korea. And if I give you one more reason, definitely, I think on the April 27, when there was the summit meeting between the Republic of Korea and North Korea, the two leaders had took a walk, and then they had some private time. And then, according to the report, during this time, they had very productive talks. And then when Kim Jong-un visited China, he had also a private talk with the Chinese President Xi Jinping by taking a walk. So we can expect that maybe the President Trump and then the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un could have some talk. By having walk, because that nearby the Sentosa, the Capella Hotel, there are 2 golf courses, and there are also very beautiful beach. So there must be high possibility of taking a walk together. 2 leaders.
Yes, those walks were the optics were very good for those walks.
Right, I think so. Yes.
I think they were dubbed the bromance moments with Xi Jinping and Moon Jae-in. Now, the issue of costs have also arisen about hosting this summit in Singapore. It's an interesting situation because the bilateral summit is actually being held in a third country. So there are rumors that North Korea had actually demanded the US to pay for some of the costs, such as Kim Jong-un's hotel rooms. Do you believe these stories that North Korea would have made these demands and to shoulder for the US to shoulder these costs?
Well, I think according to the report, I think each country will pay for their own bill by themselves. Actually, host country should take care of the whole costs when they have summit meeting with any other country's leader. But as you pointed out, the summit meeting will be held in a third country. So this is quite different from traditional patterns of summit meeting. And according to report, the Singaporean government will take responsibility of the cost needed for arranging the summit meeting. But basically, USA government is reported to pay all bills by themselves, and North Korean government does. But based on our own experiences, during the Pyongyang Olympic Games, South Korean government paid the whole cost for the participation of the North Korean athletic delegation to the Olympics. And then a long time ago, when the then Korean President Kim Dae-jung had the summit meeting with his North Korean counterpart, it was reported that South Korean government also pay lots of money to have the summit meeting with the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. But I think this is quite sensitive because this relates to disgrace to North Korea if it is publicly reported that USA will pay the cost for the summit meeting for North Korean government. So we have to wait and see, but I think we should wait for a while to see who paid how much and who paid less than the others. But anyway, according to the traditional protocol, I think both countries will go Dutch. That means they will pay each other's bill by themselves.
Well, it'll be interesting to see the receipts at the end of it.
Yes.
Now that the date and location has been set, the focus turns to the main topic of the talks themselves, the actual meat of this summit. But working level talks have been continuing in Panmunjom for the last few days. But how do you think they're going, and what do you think they'll be still talking about, trying to arrange?
Well, before having the summit meeting on June 12th between USA President Mr. Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, there was a meeting in Singapore to discuss about protocol issues. And there have been 7 times meeting between the head of the USA delegation and Mr. Kim. He is right now the American ambassador to the Philippines, and with his counterpart, North Korean counterpart, the Mr. Choi, who is the foreign minister of North Korea. And I think that they should discuss about details of the issues which could be on the table at the summit meeting between the United States and North Korea, such as CVID and CVIG. As you know very well, the USA government has emphasized the complete, the verifiable, erasable denuclearization of North Korea. This is one of the most important part at the negotiation with North Korea. And then CVIG stands for complete and verifiable, erasable, and the guarantee, the regime guarantee. This is the demand from North Korea to the United States. So to discuss about the details about the issues about these two, CVIG and CVID, definitely they must be long discussion. So at the working level meeting between USA and North Korea, led by Kim Sung-kim and then Chair, they discuss about to narrow their stance about these two issues. And also, it was reported that between two countries, USA and North Korea, there is possibility that two leaders could discuss about the adopt the declaration ending Korean War. So maybe at the working level, the meeting between two countries, there must be some possibility discussing about this issue as well, I think.
I mean, how close do you think they are, though? Because obviously there's rumors now coming out of a second North Korea-U.S. summit in Florida in the Mar-a-Lago resort, where obviously Trump owns. I mean, what can we read from that? Does that suggest that they're already lowering expectations that a deal will be reached in one summit and Singapore?
That is a very interesting point. As we know very well, at the initial stage, Mr. President Trump has emphasized that the North Korean denuclearization should be implemented in all in one way, and he emphasized maximum pressure against the North Korea to finalize discussion, talk about the North Korean denuclearization, nuclear denuclearization, the nuclear crisis. But it seems that Mr. Trump changed his stance. He emphasized that the summit meeting June 12th will be the beginning of the discussion between two countries. It must be some changes there on the stance of the USA government toward North Korean denuclearization issue. In this context, the USA government seems to prepare another round of the summit meeting to continue discuss about the North Korean denuclearization issue. Certainly, I think that there must be high possibility that there must be some more discussions, more summit talks about these issues between two countries, as long as USA government takes this stance. And about this, change, made by the USA government, there has been some the analysis that means that Mr. Trump is facing some difficulties domestically because Russian scandal, and then there will be evaluation about his government. According to the schedule, his tenure will be finished 2021 January. So this is the midterm of the evaluation of his government. So by continuously having the talk with North Korea, maybe it can be a good opportunity for him to divert the criticism, domestic criticism against him and his government. So by having a negotiation with North Korean government continuously, maybe he could maintain his support from the people. This is the several interpretations about the reasons why USA government has changed its stance about North Korean denuclearization.
So briefly, before we go, there's another point I wanted to pick up, was that at the moment, there doesn't seem to be any mention from the North Korean media about the upcoming summit. There's been no reports about Kim Jong-un going to the US and meeting Donald Trump at the White House. Well, what do we make of that?
Yes, there are several possible the analysis. The first one is that in North Korea, like maybe that's the case in other countries, but about the schedule, Kim Jong-un's schedule has been kept as one of top secrets. For example, particularly when Kim Jong-un is away from Pyongyang, somebody said that there could be some possibility of military coup or something like that. So Kim Jong-un has been very sensitive, like his father and grandfather. They have very tightly controlled, kept the schedule and the leaders as one of top secrets. Well, we can understand the no response from North Korea about the Kim Jong-un's visit to North Korea in this context. Second one is, Kim Jong-un, does not finally, make his final decision about the issues which will be on the table at the summit meeting with the President Trump. You know, Mr. Trump has emphasized that Kim Jong-un should make a bold decision to have the successful outcome at the summit meeting with him. And then that means that the ball is on the hand of the Kim Jong-un, to have the successful outcomes. So certainly it can be a very difficult moment for Kim Jong-un to finalize his stance. So because he does not finalize his stance about this issue yet, maybe North Korean media cannot report about the details about the progress, preparing for the summit meeting on June 12 with the USA President Trump. This can be one or two main scenarios explain the reasons why North Korean media does not report about the progress for the summit meeting with the United States.
Well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you for coming in, and it's going to be a very interesting few days, and I look forward to discussing with you.
I think so.
Next time.
Thank you very much.
Now that brings us to the end of our show. I'll be back tomorrow with more insights and analysis from our experts. Till then, stay tuned to our Arirang newscast for the latest updates and reports. Thank you for watching, and hope you join us next time. Goodbye.